Sadly, it isn't coming home. And I do think we all deserve a small amount of melodrama about that because there is something so deeply English about spending 4 weeks going, no, 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 but this is the year, I can feel it. Only to wake up the next morning after it isn't the year, feeling like you've been dumped via text. 11 men that I've never met lose on a football pitch, and somehow I'm the one processing grief.
I feel like I'm dying inside.
And yet we came third in what I think might be the wildest game of the whole tournament. I mean, it was so typically English. God, I love us. But actually, England losing isn't even what stayed with me. I've loved this World Cup. I mean, I unexpectedly loved it. I didn't think I would this much. And I think it's because it reminded me of something that we've all kind of pretended isn't true anymore. Cultural identity matters. And not in a boring kind of like policy sort of a way, in a you could quite literally see it on the screen. Because watching this tournament, people weren't falling in love with the teams that had the neatest strategy or they were the most perfectly technical ones. They were falling in love with the countries that felt the most like themselves. And that's funny because I could swear we're constantly being told the opposite. We're constantly being told that the world is getting smaller, that we're all more connected, that borders matter less, that we're all basically one big international happy WhatsApp friend group now.
Hey, besties.
Except, did anyone actually watch that World Cup? Because I didn't see countries becoming less national. I watched them becoming aggressively, almost theatrically, more themselves. Mexico turned up the volume to 11 on what it means to be Mexican. Brazil were like, what if we became even more Brazilian? Japan arrived with precision and discipline and Japanese vibes so immaculate, you kind of just wanted that to follow them through to the end. And it pains me to say this, but Argentina, despite living up to the stereotype, they found a whole new level of being Argentinian that I'm not sure was previously documented. And of course, I have to talk about Norway. Because Norway looked at the Vikings, actual historical pillagers with a side hobby of chaos, and went, you know what? That's going to be our 2026 summer aesthetic.
Are we the baddies?
And the entire world was obsessed. There was no apology for it. There was no disclaimer. There was no, we just want to acknowledge the impact of longboats. Nothing. People bought the shirts. They'd learned the chants. They did the rowing. And people started spiritually identifying as Norwegian because it was fun and confident and because Norway knew who they were, which is fascinating. Because apparently we're all just now becoming global citizens. It's a funny way of showing it, given what we just watched. Because what I actually saw was millions of people remembering exactly who they are and loving the countries who did that. And I did see our new Prime Minister to be, as of tomorrow, say something along the lines of in the mirror, how during these hard times, the World Cup reminds that we have more in common, which is so lovely. It's so very, I'd like to teach the world to sing, but I'm sorry. Did we even watch the same tournament? Because I came away thinking the exact opposite. Modern politics is this weirdly persistent fantasy that if we all trade together, travel together, blend eventually together, that we'll all just become the same.
Make a cake made out of rainbows and smiles, and we'd all eat it, be happy.
Except that's not what happens. If anything, the more generic that the world becomes, the more tightly people cling to the places that don't feel generic. And football just exposed that. It ripped the mask off and said, oh, by the way, all the stuff that you think you said didn't matter, yeah, it does still matter. Because let's think about Morocco and France. It was a match played over 1,000 miles away, and yet London felt the impact of Morocco losing. Because identity doesn't just stay in the country that it's supposedly from, just because we kind of want it to. Because if it didn't matter anymore, if we were all just one big, happy, interchangeable, global family, you wouldn't have seen that happen in London. But you do, every single time. Which is why I've always found the phrase diversity is our strength is just so patronising. Because yeah, diversity brings food and fun flags and festivals, but it also brings loyalties and instincts and enemies, and sometimes those clash, and sometimes they contradict the country you're in, and sometimes that enemy is England. I mean, we all saw it. Countries and media rooting against England. Heck, we even had our own MPs supporting other teams but England. And I think, okay, maybe it's not full-blown Anglophobia, but it's definitely not just casual friendly banter times. But I think this might actually be contributing to a very unfortunate English problem, which is that we've developed a slightly awkward relationship with ourselves. Everyone else gets to celebrate who they are. They get to wrap themselves in their flag and tell their stories, have myths and heroes and tradition. The world goes, oh, yes, snaps, I love that for you. And yet with England,
Help me, I'm poor.
we've somehow convinced ourselves that being comfortably English is just a bit awkward, that it needs disclaimers or some kind of an apology, that we should maybe just all be a bit quiet to avoid making things weird.
Why are you the way that you are?
Meanwhile, Norway is out here cosplaying Vikings. Everyone's like, yes, babes, raid me. Make it make sense. I know, obviously, English history isn't perfect. No one's is. There is no country in the world that has a perfect history. But grown-up countries don't pretend that they appeared 5 minutes ago with a blank slate and good intentions. They inherit the whole thing. The good, the bad, the chaotic middle chapters. That's what gives these countries textures. That's what gives our cultures textures. And I think that's why this World Cup affected me in the way that it did. Because in a world that feels increasingly like the same 5 cities just kind of get copy and pasted over and over and over again, it was actually really lovely to see countries just feel distinct. Mexico felt like Mexico, Brazil felt like Brazil, Scotland felt like Scotland, Japan felt like Japan, and England should feel like England. And that's where I think our politicians are just completely misreading the room, because they keep telling us that our identity is fading, but this tournament suggested actually is one of the few things that people are holding on to even tighter. So by the next World Cup, I actually don't want England to become more polished or more media trained or even more globally palatable. I just want us to loosen up a bit. Have some fun. Stop acting like being English is something that you just have to apologise for. We should embrace our stories. We should embrace our traditions. We should embrace the flag without some kind of full disclaimer attached.
Put on a proper suit, do up your tie, and sing the national anthem!
Because if Norway can spend a month cheerfully leading into the Viking energy, I'm sure that we can manage a little bit of St. George's Cross without needing a group therapy session afterwards. Because we are now about to spend the next 2 years having the exact same conversation that we always had. Should we keep the manager? Was it tactics or was it mentality? Was it, I don't know, the moon in retrograde? I don't know, but listen, have at it, have those conversations. But I'm still incredibly proud of us. Even without the trophy, even with the questionable refereeing that I will still be absolutely pissy about until 2034. But this World Cup made me realise how incredibly lucky I am to be English. I just don't want us to forget how to act like it. So I hope you were just as pleased that I am that we finished third. I mean, that's our best result since the 60s. But more importantly, and I really do want to know what you think, what do you think we need to do about England? Because if you watched the match last night, I think it showed us that we're much better when we have the pressure off us. And perhaps the biggest question of all, what do we do about Thomas Tuchel? But as always, let me know what you think below. Did you love the World Cup as much as I did? I'm really sad it's over, actually. I mean, I always am a little bit with sport, but it's only 2 years now to the Euros, so wow, 2 years. I mean, imagine how much could change between now and then politically. Anyway, let me know as always what you think below. I really, really value your opinion, and do think about giving me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.